Hello, everybody. My name is Nate, and I am an alcoholic and an addict. Welcome to Life on Life Terms, Session 4, a meeting and class of recovery. We usually go with the theme of change, and that's really good because change is really the underlying theme of life. But I wanted to talk about the family. And the family, as it deals with, the family deals with alcoholism and addiction, and it's sad but true. A lot of families are affected. Families and friends are affected by the alcoholic or the addict quite terribly. The family gets sick pretty much at the same pace of the alcoholic or the addict, meaning that resentments flare up because of things the alcoholic and addict does, and a lot of hate going on, a lot of disappointment going on, a lot of unnecessary stuff going on because of the behaviors of the alcoholic and addict when they're in their addiction. And then, of course, like in my case, when the alcoholic and addict gets into a program of recovery, or in other people's cases may just stop using, then what happens is, the alcoholic or the addict gets better, and they, if they're like me, they get the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they get better, man, and their life starts to change, and they start to get better. And what's sad is that the family doesn't have those tools to get better. So I want to give a shout out to the families, man, especially my family. I got a very strong nature, very solid family, man. Starting with mom, starting with D. Sherm, starting with my brothers, my sister. I got strong people who actually are not addicted to drugs or anything, and has seen me go through this and has had my back. But I must say out to the families, there comes a period of time when you have to let that loved one go and hope for the best. So a lot of times families don't know when to let go because, of course, this is your loved one, and it's sad to even say that, but you got to let them go and go their own route. And hopefully one day they will find, themselves in a better situation and even get recovery. So in my case, yeah, of course, there's been, there's a recovery going on with me. And as I started to get better, and it took years for me to start to even realize this, I got the tools of recovery, which is the 12 steps. And I had to realize, man, that my family don't have those tools that I got. In recovery, we get a way to deal with resentment. We get a way to deal with fears. And those are the 12 steps. And, completely staying in tune with my instincts and keeping track of myself and making amends and stuff like that. The family actually doesn't have those tools, man. They don't have the 12 steps at their feet. And half the time, if you even offer them, they like, well, we don't need the 12 steps. We ain't addicted to drugs and stuff like that. And that's true. But at the same time, that's why Al-Anon came out. And it was a way for the family to be able to recover from the destruction and damage to the relationships that the alcoholic and addict had done. And I just wanted to say shout out to the families, man. Seriously, that's either going through it or have been through it, and still get a loved one's chances and stuff. Because it took me a few times to get this thing. It took me a few times to be able to really be okay with myself without drugs and alcohol. So I say that with, with complete humility, man, that I'm humbled at the fact that my family is still real powerful in my life. And we still have a connection. And no matter what, I had went through, that these people truly love me, the person of me. And it's sad to say that all families ain't like that. And all addicts and alcoholics don't have families like such as myself. So I'm very blessed and humble for that. Um, Another thing, man, I wanted to get into real tough, and I might blend all this together towards the end or something. But another thing I wanted to get into real tough was the allergy, man, the physical allergy of the alcoholic and addict. Now I say that, and a lot of people, like when I first got into recovery and I heard that the allergy thing, and I thought, well, if this is an allergy, we must have some kind of physical implications that it's an allergy. For instance, if somebody is allergic to poison ivy and they touch poison ivy, and they may break out, they might itch real bad, or peach fuzz. They, fresh peaches off of the tree. Somebody touch that, they break out with itches and scratches and all kinds of shit. Basically a rash. So you can see the physical aspects of the allergy if a person is allergic to something. And then, it's kind of odd for somebody to say, oh, well, I got an allergy against alcohol and drugs. Yes, it is really an allergy, but no, it may not have any physical breakouts like peach fuzz or poison ivy. What we break out in as alcoholics and addicts is this craving that's beyond our mental control. And you can see this on a person. You can see when a person is really fiending, they call it fiending, because they do anything to get another hit. They do anything to get another drink. And that's the physical aspects of the allergy, man. Shout out to all y'all, Shay, the finest, Lisa, love y'all, man. I see a bunch of people coming on. But you can see the reaction of a person when they take that drug or that alcohol, man. They basically bust out with a craving. And then they gotta have some more, and they gotta have some more, and they don't know when to quit. And it's really sad because a lot of times, we look at the different aspects of meetings, for instance. And I had my dude Joe he shout out, asked me what was going on, the difference between the AA and the NA. And at its root core, they're both dealing with the disease of addiction. And both of them, of course, teach don't put any drugs in you, and alcohol is a drug. But at the same time, they differ in how they get to those points. NA strictly talks about drugs. I've been to CA meetings, which is Cocaine Anonymous, and they talked about strictly cocaine and crack cocaine. But they talk about it in their own way. A closed AA meeting talks strictly about alcohol and the effects of alcohol in a person's life. An open AA meeting talks about alcohol as a drug and addiction. An NA meeting talks strictly about addiction and drugs having an effect on a person's life. So, though they can be intertwined and all the way together, I know real diehard people that go to NA, and I don't know real diehard people that go to AA. And I know, that there's this separatism going on. But don't get fooled. Like I said before in my other class, that I talked to a guy, man, and this guy's about 36 years sober, and he's an alcoholic, and he's a doctor, and he's one of the coldest dudes I've ever seen ever do a class, and he breaks it down physically, emotionally, mentally, the whole nine. But I asked him, I said, hey, what's the real difference between, alcoholic and an addict? He said, let an alcoholic do drugs, he'll realize how much of an addict he is. And he said, and let an addict drink long enough and he'll realize that he's an alcoholic. So I was one of them guys that had this thing in the back of my head. And, I had this thing that said crack cocaine was my problem. Had that for a long time, didn't even realize I had it. They call that a reservation, a thought reservation. When I accept something all the way up to that point, they call that a reservation. When I reserve a certain thought about something without, opening it up and examining it and changing my mind on it. So I always thought that crack was my problem until being sober for a few years from crack and alcohol, being clean, until I started drinking again and I realized I couldn't stop drinking. I also realized I felt like I needed to have more alcohol. Then I had a crazy idea, and I shared this in my earlier sessions, that if I just smoked some crack, I would stop drinking altogether. And I did smoke some crack, and I stopped drinking for a little while. But the point is, when I relapsed because I had this reservation in my head that said alcohol wasn't my problem, crack was my problem. So that just basically left the door open for me to use again. And I could have had a reservation in my head said pills ain't the problem, alcohol's the problem. And I could have been popping pills. And I could have came about this many different ways. Thank God for the way I did come about it, because I was able to surrender and get back into recovery and get really on the right track and really be thorough in my step work and stay on that track, man, for over 10 years now. Thank God for that. But the point is that I could have said, this ain't my problem, that's my problem. This ain't my problem, that's my problem. And when I do that, I create this separatism that don't really exist, because what happens in a person like me is I'm easily addicted to shit, pill, drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever. I'm easily addicted. So when I indulge in that, and I indulge to the point of making it a habit, in fact, when I actually put anything into my body that's got to do with changing how I think and changing how I feel for any period of time, when I put that in my body, that could be a pill, that could be a drug, that could be alcohol. When I put that in my body, something happens in my body, and my body's reaction to it creates a compulsion, creates a craving that's so phenomenal that I can't overcome it with my mind. I can't just say, you know what, I ain't gonna crave right now. I ain't gonna crave today, man. I might crave tomorrow. I might do this next week, but I ain't gonna do all this craving shit right now. No, it's way beyond that. And the thing about that is, that's how it has been diagnosed as a disease in the medical field, because you can almost see when the craving's on a person. When their mind is racing and all they trying to do is get another hit. And back in the ghetto, back in the day, man, in that concrete jungle, we used to call them dope fiends. Oh, he's just fiending. That's that craving, man, that came alive in that person start using. But anyway, so I wanted to put this out there, and I wanted to say something else that is really not touched on, but should be. Recovery itself is a very broad word. You can recover from a broken arm. One of my sons right now is recovering from a fractured arm. You can recover from a disease, alcoholism, cancer, whatever. You can recover from a bad breakup. That special person you just couldn't get along with no more and y'all broke up. You can recover from getting out of prison. Now you're trying to readjust to life again. The recovery is a very broad word, and that's why I'm using it how I'm using it in the context that I'm using it, because it allows us to bring any subject into this forum and examine it and talk about it. And so I don't want somebody to get the idea that I'm the head dude on any kind of recovery. It's not that. But recovery has so many angles that, a person can basically spill his truth about his recovery, and he's not wrong. He's not lying. He's not on some bullshit. But his truth in his recovery definitely can help somebody else get on the path to recovery. So I kind of wanted to put that out there. In saying that, recovery does not necessarily begin when I stop using drugs. Reason in point, I stopped many times doing drugs when I was doing drugs. Never stayed stopped. Stopped a many times. My last sobriety date was May the 23rd of 2005. Excuse me. I stayed stopped for about 2.5 years, but I didn't stay stopped. I told this before. I was working in a liquor store for the sole reason I got that job was because I was sober. And the guy hired me. He's a good friend of mine. Hired me there. He trusted me, and I never stole nothing from this guy or did anything behind this guy's back or anything like that. The only thing I did relapse in that liquor store because in the back of my mind, crack was my problem, not alcohol. And I don't know. Yeah, I probably did share that I seen that little bottle of I forget what the bottle was, but I had cracked that open and drunk that so quick it was crazy. And it had like a little wax top on it and everything, man. It was a trip, but I realized then I couldn't stop drinking, not on my own. But needless to say, man, staying stopped is the main deal that people do the 12 steps and get into recovery. And because I stopped drinking and drugging, doesn't mean I'm necessarily in recovery. Some people I know right now have been through recovery and say that they're recovered and they're no longer in recovery. And that's okay. That's their perspective of it, and they're staying sober, and I guess they're happy with whatever life they have, and that's good. It's not me to judge that. But the point of what I'm saying is there's a lot of differences and variances in not using and being in recovery. And then even still getting into recovery, we talking about doing some work on self. And my particular thing I talk about is doing the 12 steps work on self, getting into recovery, and then acquiring them promises that's given in the step work. We talk about, being able to deal with fear and not let fear consume us. Like, for instance, I use fear now as a cautionary thing, which is, I think, a natural instinct for humans. That's how I use fear in whatever I do. Fear used to just stifle my growth. It used to just have me stuck sometimes, not knowing which way to go, worrying if I made this choice or if I made that choice, a whole lot of things that recovery has given me has made me, a better person to my family, a better person in treating myself better. A lot of addicts, alcoholics, man, and I could speak on a lot because guess what? I deal with a lot of addicts and alcoholics in recovery and in addiction. So I ain't just shunning people that's getting high still and drinking still. They deal with me too on a regular basis. But a lot of addicts and alcoholics looked at themselves just like I have with disgust, man, because I wasn't raised like this. I wasn't raised to go out and steal shit. I wasn't raised to go smoke crack. I wasn't raised to rob people. I wasn't raised to manipulate people. I wasn't raised to play on my family for money and shit. I wasn't raised like that. So I became disgusting to me after so many years, man, of doing this shit, man. And it takes quite a while of step work and just work on self and working with others, man, to recover from the image that I had of myself, man, to actually regain some type of self-confidence regain some love for myself. Actually, this has been an ongoing thing for me, man. Many years now, and I'm really grateful for it. I try to help people as much as possible. But then again, I help people up to a certain point, and that certain point is, I got to think: am I helping them or harming them? And a lot of times, man, I could be harming them because I think I'm helping them. And basically, I could be like, okay, man, I'm gonna give you whatever you asking for, $5, $10, and they could be, man, I'm starving, I need something to eat. And by the way, Louisville, Kentucky, I can't speak on many other cities like this, but I can definitely speak on this one. If you hungry in Louisville, Kentucky, you just don't want to eat. These motherfuckers feed everywhere. I mean, it's like impossible for you to starve here. I'm talking about feed for free. So when I first see a person like, man, I need something to eat, I'm like, man, they feed where you ain't eat at. I mean, why is you not going to these places that feed for free? I went to them, and we'll go to them. But that it kind of rubs me, the wrong way. And sometimes when I do uh look at them and say, man, well, what's really going on, and hell, I done had cats say, man, I just want to drink, and hell yeah, here, drink one for me. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know what you're doing, man. You don't know if you're helping them or harming them, and it's not on me. I had to realize it's not on me, to decipher who's doing what with whatever you give. As long as I give it with the express intent that, what, here, I'm gonna look out because I got enough to look out and I'm helping. As long as I do that, my slate is really clean. And it's a hard fact that people just lie because they lie. You know what I'm saying? People will tell you anything to get anything from you. There's a lot of users in life. A lot of people want to use people to get over and to do other shit. There's some people that actually um, take pride and integrity in working and earning their living, such as myself. And I know other people like that, but I don't know many. You know what I'm saying? Um, and Nipsey has started a thing back in the day called Proud to Pay. I'm one of them guys that's proud to pay for whatever I get, man. I'm just there with that, and it it's pretty powerful when a person such as myself, had to pay child support, and I used to be hating and shit on paying child support. Now I'm proud to pay child support. That's a hell of a thing. That's a hell of a thing. I'm pretty much proud to do whatever I do this day, and this is not a false pride. I can tell you that I had, I know, I got experience with false pride. I had false pride before I got into recovery. For instance, I was like too proud to be in recovery type shit. First off, I wanted to say, man, I ain't no homeless motherfucker. Then I wanted to say, man, I don't really need help like that. I could stop when I want to stop. And then when I really wanted to stop and I couldn't stop, I realized I did need help. So it is very, very particular when I tell you I'm proud now, and this is a true pride in self and a true integrity in self. This is not some false depiction of my pride or integrity. This is not something boosting up. I'm not like a legend in my own mind type shit trying to convince you or anything. I'm just telling you the experience that I have through recovery and through addiction. But back to what I first started with was the family. So the family does have tools out there today like Al-Anon and stuff like that, um, where they tell you, sometimes you got to let the loved one go, because you can only go so far. Now, you at this stage where you giving all you can give, and now if you give any more, you ain't gonna be able to pay your rent. You ain't gonna be able to pay your bill. You know, it comes to that point, and the killer part about it is, you know, a lot of people don't know when that letting go part is, and it's different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I might could afford to give my son thousands and thousands of dollars, and he just steady fucking shit up and lying to me and getting high. Somebody else might can do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference where the letting go part is. However, I learned that, if my help, what I'm saying, if I can afford to do my help, and my help, it checks out, meaning that if this person ain't lying about what they talking about, and sometimes I got to do my own little investigation, backstory, whatever, when my loved one come at me with this shit and that shit. But a lot of people just don't even do that. They just choose to trust that person, and that's okay. But like I said, you can only go as far as you can go. But the point is, when all the shit hits the fan, and this loved one does enter recovery or get help and starts to recover, yeah, you want to, hooray and be there for that person at the same time. Some of the family members don't want to hooray and be there for that person because they're still mad at the shit that the loved one does, and it's up to the loved one to understand, just like it was up to me to understand that I destroyed their relationship, or I put quite a strain on the relationship. In fact, I put such a strain on it that it's hard to get back from that, you know? And in doing that, I need to realize that my family didn't go through recovery, so they don't have the tools that I have to deal with resentments. They don't have the ninth step that says I make amends wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. They don't have the 10th step that keeps me looking at self, man, that keeps me motivated in recovery. So, in that being said, sometimes some family members need time to heal, no matter how much I am in the relationship with them. And that goes over to our next subject is time, man. Time is a hell of a thing for everybody. And that's really the really root thing we all have is just this time, and we don't know how much time we got. Um, with the coronavirus thing going out, shout out to my peeps in the yo that's going through it. Um, we don't know how much time we got, man. In this life period, we talking about even without a virus, man, and it is very uh, important to me that I make of my time the best I can make of my time. Now, I get caught up, being a recovering alcoholic and addict, I get caught up in working. And I believe that's a piece of addiction now because I got caught up so much in work and I had to sit back, and I had to thank God for this damn pandemic because now I could kind of relax a little bit and just do what I can do on a daily basis. I don't feel the need to be in there all damn day and all damn night just busting my ass, which is what I've been doing, man, for about the last almost 9 years. So, getting caught up in working, getting caught up in living, and working for me is basically me being a provider and paying the bills for myself and my family that does live with me, and that right there is a big chunk of a person's life and time, man. And I hadn't realized that for a long time how much of a chunk that was in my life. And now that I'm realizing it, it's almost like, man, it's got to be something else, some other kind of way, man. And it's almost like I'm just caught up in working. So I've been just kind of trying to, you know, take it one day at a time for real instead of go down there and just lose my mind. Sometimes I come in 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, man, and leave at 10. And other times I come in at 9 in the morning and leave at 11 at night. So it's kind of been on the, just how I feel for that day type shit. And of course, still trying to stay healthy. Got bad sinuses all the time. I always had this my whole fucking life. So I'm hoping this is just what this is, and I think it is. But we got all this shit going around. I'm still trying to stay safe and healthy. At the same time, I still got to go out and deal with people on a daily basis. So this is a very crunching part of my life where I got to make some serious decisions, man. and thank God for the people that I do still associate with in recovery. Thank God for my family members who I still deal with, almost on a regular and daily basis. Because I got a strong support group, man, that kind of supports, me in this direction. And they give me a lot of wisdom and inspiration, man, in going this direction. Now we talking about just being at home. So I be checking out a whole lot of stuff. I'll be doing little studies, man. But being at home, I guess it ain't really what it's cracked up to be for a lot of people. I'm really grateful for the time I do get at home, because I'm not at home all the time. And it just kind of puts, I guess, relationships at a strain because, you with a person day in and day out, they steady in your face. My little girl that I'm with, we ain't always in each other's face, so I guess that's cool. And then when we are, it's kind of good, because she got her own spot, so that's good. But I hear a lot about, different people and their relationships and stuff. And I just want to say that, just getting to know a person, really get to know a person without all this outside influence and distraction and interruption. You may find out that this person is not the person that they seem to be when all this other shit's going on. And it's a trip to find something like that out. And it feels like your heart is hurting, and, it's depressing. And I speak from experience on that, but I'm just going to leave it at that. But in dealing with this, I want to talk about character defects. I think everybody has character defects in one way or another. People deal with them differently. And some people work on their character defects, and some people's character defects work on their ass. In point example, most human beings are selfish and self-centered. Now, the alcoholic and addict is selfish and self-centered to the extreme, especially when they have no recovery in them. So we may see character defects pop up in our lives. We talk about alcoholic as myself, addict as myself in recovery, and I may see character defects pop up. It's on me to work on that as it pops up. And sometimes I can't even notice it when it does pop up. And this is where my other steps come into work. When I do realize what's going on with it, it's kind of like, and then at night I review my days. So it's like I realize, okay, man, I shouldn't even have done stuff like that. I was real selfish in that situation. So it's on me to correct that situation and correct that behavior. And that takes me to a whole nother subject for real, because correcting my behavior, especially as I go along, because I'm continuously living now. It ain't like I died and I came back and I could start off with this new behavior system. No, I'm continuously living. So correcting my behavior as I go along is a very important thing for anybody in recovery. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I could be doing the same shit I was doing back when I was using and drinking. Just not drinking. Just not using. And when I do that, man, I get pretty much the same results. And my results for the stuff I did while I was drinking and drugging was pretty fucking miserable. I'm just going to keep it to you like that. It's pretty miserable, the results I was getting when I was drinking and drugging. So I need to change my behavior. And this the underlying theory of this whole life on life terms process of meeting in classes is change. I need to change my behavior as I go along. And in order to change my behavior, I got to change on how I think about a whole lot of stuff. That's where the steps come in at. That's where me doing inventory and examining what's good and bad in my life, what's good and bad in my thoughts. That's where that comes in at, because when I change my mind, I could change what I say. When I change my mind, I could change my behavior. And a whole lot of what I say got to do with my behavior. Cause see, sometimes, man, I will say some crazy shit and I will behave a totally different way. And see, I gotta connect my thoughts and my words to what my actions are. You see what I'm saying? And this is living life on life terms. See, life constantly goes on. Shit constantly shows up in life. And let me add this to the equation. People gonna constantly be drinking and doing drugs. It's on me to say, you know what? I ain't able to live this way, so I'm not gonna do that. I ain't able to drink or do drugs, so I'm not gonna do that. It's on me. It ain't on everybody else. Cause see, they didn't stop making liquor because I got sober. They didn't stop processing drugs because I got sober. So it's entirely on me, man, to make these changes in my behavior, which means working on self and making these changes in my thought process, making these changes in my belief system. And I realized that the changes I made in my belief system was I eliminated a whole lot of bullshit that I placed in my belief system since I became a young adult and an adult. Meaning that what I was raised on, the qualities and principles that I was raised on, was solid. And what I did was I took those qualities and principles as I grew older and manipulated my own little belief out of them and added some other bullshit on top of it and on top of that until my principles didn't even exist no more that I grew up on. Until now I'm on some dope fiend ass principles. And I say that with quite the passion that I have with just being human. I had some dope fiend principles, man. I had some, man. If I give you anything, I got to get 2 or 3 times that back. Yeah, everything had something attached to it. You know, it was many strings attached to anything I did. If I did something for you, I had to get paid like a motherfucker, and you had to pay damn near the price that you might as well go call a professional to do. You know, and I've been working on cars, bicycles, homes, buildings, pretty much my whole life. So it's a whole lot I knew, and I knew how to price shit out and tell people, you know, you need this, this, and this, and this, and they only need just this, and I could fix it. I knew how to do all that, man. So it took me a whole lot of working on self to change my thinking process from hustling to living. Took a whole lot of that. Cause see, my mind was always on the hustle, always on the go. And I'm talking about this is after I got sober and got into recovery real tough and really worked on myself, man. So a lot of people don't even have that chance. And I'm gonna name some stuff, man, and you may or may not agree, and that's okay. But it says that 1 out of every 10 people are alcoholics, meaning they have a problem with drinking, meaning they have a phenomenon of craving, meaning they have obsession about getting drunk or getting more drugs in them. And then um, out of them 1 out of 10 people, 1 out of 10 of those people who do have a problem with alcohol or are alcoholic, one out of only 10 of them, or only 1 out of 10 of them, ever seek help. Yeah. So out of 100 people, 10 of them might be alcoholics. One of them will seek help. Now imagine that. That's a hell of a statistic right there. Imagine every 100 people you see, 10 of them is alcoholics, 10 of them is addicts. And then 1 out of every 10 of them ever get help. And then the statistic for the people that actually get help, receive help, get recovery, change their life, and live a different life, it's like 1 out of every 100 alcoholics. And that's a hell of a statistic, man. Hell of a statistic. And I went through that. I read that and studied that when I did recovery dynamics. When I was studying to be teach recovery dynamics, and I got certified to do that. But when I read that, I said, damn, man, so shit, out of every 1,000 people, only 10 people actually really get sober, and out of every 1,000 alcoholics, man, and I'm talking about anywhere from 10 to 30 people out of every 1,000 of them ever get sober and change their life, man. And then they got the retreads, what I'm called the retreads, the chronic relapsers. And honestly, I may not be in that category anymore because I have not relapsed. And my sobriety date is October 25th of 2009. So on this trip here, I have not relapsed. But I used to call myself king of relapse, master of relapse and all this shit. It was almost like a fucking badge that I had. And that's another thing. The shit that I got badges on, I call myself this and call myself that. That's some legend in my own mind bullshit. That's where my false pride kicked in. And I try to say that I was different from all you other alcoholics and addicts, that I was smarter, that I was more intelligent, that I had more willpower, that I had more whatever. And it come out to be some bullshit. Cause that's some false pride shit. But just having that type of background where, I was really, really working on self and being, in recovery. And I was basically in recovery, and I want to speak on this particularly. It's basically eliminating all the bullshit that I put on myself when I was getting high, getting drunk. What's up, Tab? I see you, baby. You know what I'm saying? So when I was in recovery, at that point, when I first got in recovery, and I knew that I really needed this and I really wanted this, and I knew I was just a statistic, man. I was just a statistic that may or may not make it. I started really digging in, man, and changing my life, man. And I had realized several years later, I probably had about 5 years sober when I had realized that everybody ain't gonna get this. Even the people that go to get this ain't gonna get it. And the reason why, because of that false pride, man. See, I think I'm different. I think because I'm special. I think because, I got this going on or that going on, or in my life I've been the boss of many things. I could run this crew or run that crew or whatever. Any job I get, I become supervisor real quick. I'm able to manage a lot of people and a lot of things, and didn't realize I wasn't even able to manage my damn self. For real. I couldn't manage to not do drugs. When I did drugs, I couldn't manage to keep any kind of engagements or appointments, family or otherwise. I couldn't manage to be there for my kid's birthday. I couldn't manage to even see my one son after he was 3 years old, and he's 21 now. I couldn't manage a whole lot of shit, man. And that's the main thing going on right now, man. It's how do I really amend certain relationships that seem so unamendable? And when I say amend, what's up, Rail? I see you, buddy. When I say amend, we talk about rebuild. That's what we talking about. We ain't talking about no apology. Oh, son, I'm sorry, I ain't been there. No, we talking about how do I rebuild a relationship that was destroyed by my addiction. And many different ways to do that, as many ways as it is probably people connections. So the point is, I'm at that point, man. I'm at that point, man, and I'm also at the point where when I'm starting to try to rebuild something, usually you don't, in construction, you don't take and rebuild something that you want to rebuild that's been maybe destroyed by a hurricane or in my case a fucking tornado or anything. You usually take new parts and put it on there, and that's how you rebuild the shit. And it might be the same bridge, but it's broken up in so many different ways. The concrete is broke on, whatever. You take new shit and you put it on there, and you amend it like that. That's how you rebuild stuff. And so I want to take new experiences, and of course my story of my old experiences, and hopefully rebuild these certain relationships, man. And a lot of people don't have that chance and opportunity. I understand, and that's okay. And a lot of people who do have that chance are really not really don't really care about the opportunity, man. And I can't speak on anybody but me. I really do care, and I really would like those who work on themselves to feel this recovery like I feel it, man. To feel this joy, to feel this necessity to reach out and give somebody else a shot of hope, man, like I do. So it's a powerful thing when you can sit, um, without worrying about what I got to do next and rushing out and getting something. And I'm right now. I'm not even worried about what I'm gonna eat next and how I'm gonna wipe my ass or any of that, man. It's a powerful thing when you are a person that's used to running and grinding and hustling and doing all this, but you have worked for the past 10 years, man, and you could just sit in your home, man, and just chill. It's a real powerful thing, man. That sitting still process is really powerful to me. Thank God for that place in recovery that gave me the opportunity to sit real still, that basically shut my ass down. Thank God, shut my ass down and allow me to follow their directions. And that brings me to another subject, the subject of listening, man. I do when the meetings was popping, and a lot of times I go to my home group. It's a little group I started in that same facility, man, and I would sit there and listen, man, because these guys sharing brought a lot of hope to me, and it also allowed me to, look at myself and my situation with a little better clarity, man. Because I've heard guys go through some shit I ain't never even thought could even happen. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wow, and you made it through that and made it to recovery. That's a powerful thing, man. So it keeps like my wheels greased, man. It keeps me refreshed, and I've been missing that. I've been missing that for the last few weeks, man. This is why I came with this group here. I've been missing that for the last few weeks because they ain't had the facility open to outsiders and stuff like that. And that's okay, man. But hopefully stuff will get back on track. But with that being said, it's a powerful thing to be able to listen. When I was about in I think I went down to, I can't remember exactly what month it was, but my sponsor had put a gag order on me, in meaning that he told me to be quiet and be still and just listen. And I asked him, I said, well, why should I do that? I ain't got nothing to share. He said, no, you got plenty to share. He said, but you don't know how to listen. He said, when you listen to people talk, you listen to them almost to the point where you just kind of wait for your opportunity to jump in there and spill what you got. He said, at this time, I want you to just listen and just listen. And even if you're waiting for an opportunity to jump in there and say something, don't jump in there and say something. I just want you to listen. And I said, okay, man, I'm gonna follow them directions. And thank God for them directions. Because really listening, I really learned what to say, how to speak, believe it or not. I really learned that sometimes when you get an idea or something people say, and you got an idea how to respond or even add something to the equation, if you listen for a little bit longer, something more powerful will hit you. And you're like, wow. And you'll get a realization, make you rethink everything you was about to say, and then say some other shit if you do so happen to respond. So I learned the how to have the process of actually embrace the process of listening. And some people say listen with your heart. Yes, I learned to listen with my heart and my mind because I also listened in like a feeling thing. And it was really powerful for me, man, to do this in recovery. And I'm real grateful for that guy, man. That guy still helps me. He's still in my life right now. I'm grateful so much for him because he saw that I needed that. Everything this guy seen that I needed, he touched on me. He said some shit. He gave me some suggestions. And when he did that, I worked on that. I actually followed the suggestion. So a lot of people get into recovery and they only follow certain suggestions, and other suggestions they don't follow at all. And that's the killer part about it because this thing works if you work it. And it works if you don't work it. It just won't work for you. And I had to realize that, there was something out there that was working many, many years before I was even born. So I had no say so in building it or no parts to it. And it worked specifically in my life when it had to do with unmanageability and powerlessness. And it only had to do with this because I realized how unmanageable my life was, how powerless I was in my own life when drugs and alcohol was introduced to my life. Other than that, I never realized it. It was a facade, like I had this power that I didn't. And when drugs and alcohol entered my life, I suddenly realized how unmanageable and powerless I was in my whole life. So thank God for these guys back in the day, starting the recovery process through the 12 steps of AA. And thank God for people continuing it on since then. It was started in 1935. Like I said, that was way before I was born, way before I was ever introduced to any drugs or alcohol. But it started way back then, and it's been working since back then. And these guys don't want, they don't want to put the business out there where, you giving credit and this and that, and that's okay. So that's why I stick to recovery, because recovery is a lot more broad than that, and it's not as anonymous as that is, so that's pretty good. Also, I like to say, thank God for you who follow me and who keep me going. You inspire me with your comments. I see Mel in there. I see Marilyn. I see Marcel. Yeah, I see y'all on here, man. I appreciate y'all. Shay, another shout out to you, man. My little brother inspired me to do quite wondrous things. He inspired this meeting here, man, and I'm really grateful for that, man. I got something to do on a Sunday that I could put in, into my recovery. I can see the responses, and I can definitely, just at least comment on the responses I get in my next sessions. But I want to talk about a little bit, maybe to sum this up, about serenity, man. The state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. I think all people want a feeling of serenity. And then of course there's some people. I was one of the people that had to go find a party, had to do something crazy, and I grew out of that, thanks to recovery and just thanks to life period. I grew out of that. But finding serenity, man, in self is a very powerful thing, man. Because I don't have to have the greatest willpower, you know. The only thing I really need to have is some open mindedness, some willingness, and some honesty. And when I have that, there's situations and things I got to look at and have some acceptance for. For instance, I got to have some acceptance for the fact that I can't drink like normal people. A normal person can have a beer or two and go, cool, call it a night. Hey, man, I'm going to go on in because I got to go to work tomorrow. I can't do that. I have a beer or two. I got to have 2 more beers. Then when I add in 2 more beers, I got to have 4 more beers. And then I got to go get me a piece of crack and I got to spend all the money I ever got to that point. Bank account, whatever it takes. You understand what I'm saying? And I got to try to satisfy this craving that I ain't going to be able to satisfy. So in that case, I got to have some acceptance that I react different to drugs and alcohol. And when I have that acceptance, it makes me easier to not pick up. It makes it easier for me to be okay with not picking up. Also, a lot of acceptance got to be on that step work, man, because if I don't continuously work on self, if I don't continuously put my best foot forward to living life wholly and living life not like holy like the Holy Grail. I'm talking about fully and completely like a whole person. But I'll continue to live my life like that without the drugs and alcohol, then I'm gonna be just as miserable as I was using. And I hate to say it, but some motherfuckers is so miserable when they sober, man. Shit, it seemed like to me that if you this miserable sober, what the hell was you when you was getting high, man? How the hell was you when you was getting drunk? And that's kind of the sad part about sobriety for some people, because they look at it as this bored, um, melancholy type thing, and it's not. Man, once I free myself from all that bondage and slavery of addiction, man, oh man, my life becomes this free thing, man, where I can choose to do some stuff, man. And I get excited, man, about stuff like working on my house. I get excited about stuff like making a beat to do some music. I get excited about sharing my experience with other people, you know? Hell, we have a sobriety celebration every year, man. In the last 2 years, we had it at my house that I got just 2 years ago. And let me tell y'all something. That shit is exciting for me, man. It's exciting. It's powerful, man. And I see all these people come together. And guess what? My whole family ain't sober. I'm just gonna tell you right off, But ain't nobody was out there like I was. But my family, they do their little, they drink, they smoke their little shit, you know what I'm saying? They little bud or whatever. But guess what? We have a get together at my house, and it's a hell of a celebration, man. And it's like, we come together right after my home group meeting. This year was 10 years, and it was so powerful, man, for us to just be here chilling, kicking it with each other on this side, man. And thank God they wasn't getting together because of my death due to alcohol and drugs. Thank God they wasn't coming together, because they got to pull me out of a bind some damn where. And everybody got to tally up their money because this dude is so fucked up. He's somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Thank God, man, they came together, man. Nice little vacay, because a lot of my family don't live here. And, just to, enjoy this celebration with me, man. Real powerful, man. And, but like, the serenity comes and stuff like that, and also the excitement comes and stuff like that. And I'm just so grateful because, man, a whole lot of times I'll be looking at my life, man, and then I want to, feel sad because, I ain't where I want to be financially at the age of 47. I wanted to be retired at 40 and all this shit. And I wanted to do this and do that and travel the world and all that shit. And guess what? I got to have some acceptance on the fact that I develop and grow as I do. This is not a competition, man. This is not a human competition right now, man. Each person grows and develops as they do. I wish I would have got sober a long, long time ago, and maybe my life would be a lot further than it is now. But everybody's life ain't the same, man. I could have got sober a long time ago, and because of my lack of experience, because of my lack of maturity, you know, um, I could have had done the 12 steps and not really been so convinced about them, but just been convinced long enough to stop using. And I could have been really miserable for the last 10, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? But because I knew them things pulled me out of the gutter, man, and because I had went to such extremes that I had never went before in my life, man, I was able to get into the 12 steps completely, wholly, fully. I was able to do the 12 steps and continue to do the 12 steps, man. And I was able to do that and continuously able to do that. And I'm talking about, man, sometimes at the shop, man, I got employees that be like, oh man, there's a meeting going on. It's about to be a meeting. Cause sometimes it might be a meeting at the drop of a hat. Boom. We might be doing some shit, and then all of a sudden somebody say something, and then I might say something, and then all of a sudden it's on. You know what I'm saying? We dropping some recovery in that piece. And I'm grateful for that shop. It's like my ministry, as my uncle said, it's like my ministry, man, because I deal with people in recovery and people in addiction, man, all the time, man. So it's liable to be a shop in any sec. I mean, it's liable to be a meeting any second in that piece. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Raquaya? And Lateron, I see y'all. Um, But anyway, I wanted to bring that to your attention, man. The rock bottom piece that I did in session 2, man, it was deep because everybody's rock bottom ain't the same. And if you got a loved one going through the stages and you think, damn, when is they gonna quit? Their rock bottom is different than other people's rock bottom, man. And I'm really grateful that my rock bottom didn't mean that I had to die. I'm grateful that my rock bottom didn't mean that I was just so fucked up that I couldn't even get back into a life. You know, the 12 steps have brought me into a life and existence that I love, that I'm real grateful for. And I just hope you guys got something out of this, man. And I'm real grateful that we have this format to be able to do this. I haven't actually picked a time yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to do it, a little late on Sunday. And thank God for another day clean and sober. Thank God for the sitting down process and that place in recovery that provided me with that process. I'm Nate, and I am an alcoholic.